Understand. And I just want to ask this question because I feel that so many people would love to ask you,
Yeah.
how has it been for you? Talking about your journey, how did it start? First off,
Well, I think I always say to people that I fell into the movie industry.
Whoa.
I'm not one of those people who sought to be in the movie industry because I'm a very private person.
Wow,
I've always preferred to be behind the camera.
wow,
But my first encounter with I always reference them because I have to reference them. My first encounter with the industry was with him.
wow.
And at that time, I said, I don't want to be an actor. I don't want children coming after me on the streets, And that was when I was studying for my master's a while back. So I said, no, I don't want to be in front of the camera because I felt like it would get in the way of my liking to be private.
Wow.
But, I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of, when I was out in the country, I worked in the financial sector. I did a lot of things.
Wow.
So when I came back, I've always been very inquisitive, very curious. What I like to do is not just writing. I like telling stories in form of. I've always been fascinated by documentaries.
Wow.
So what I was interested in when I returned back here was making documentaries because I feel that we don't tell enough of our stories. We don't know. Oftentimes we just sit back and wait for some foreigner to come and tell us our story. And I thought that we should tell our story because there's nobody better to tell the story than the person who's experiencing and living it. So when I came back and made the effort to make documentaries, make my own films, I fell into a lot of, I'm trying to find a word for it.
Okay.
I fell into a lot of, let's just say the movie industry has evolved. Let's not badmouth ourselves. There was a lot of unseriousness of people thinking they can take money and not do what they're paid to do. So at that point, I said, you know what, I'm going to jump into this industry with both feet.
And you did.
I did. So that was how it happened. So I wanted to be, it's me wanting to learn everything hands-on that led to, okay, you can't say you are avoiding a part of this work and then you want to do it. So I said, you know what, whatever it takes. I still am very fascinated about telling our stories.
Wow.
And my next project is a documentary I plan on going to do in Delta State. So that's kind of that's my first love, coming into a place and unraveling what's going on there and documenting it for posterity. So that's how, if you want to do these things, they are also interconnected and interrelated and they kind of feed off each other. The experience you have as an actor, as eventually a producer and someone who's been writing, is that you do tell stories. Although as a producer, it's fiction more like. But producers are real life storytellers as well. So for me, it's all leading to wanting to sit down within my environment and be very intentional about telling a story. So if it's going to start this way, then I'm good.
You're
for
in.
it. Yeah.
Wow. So you said you were not actually doing movies before now. I mean, you were doing something else, and I wanted to ask.
Before now has been before now is a long time. I've been in the industry.
That's like how many years?
I've been in the industry. It's 10 years plus. So before now is not yesterday. So.
Yeah, right. So at some point, was there any time you missed, where you were before? Now that you're doing movies and you're like, I used to work here and I miss it.
No, I don't. If tomorrow I decide to do something, like I said, I'm a very intentional person, and sometimes being intentional means that you sort of derail. While you're trying to find what you're really looking for, you derail, but you know where you're going and you keep on track. But so no, this is where I am now, and this is where I want to be. So it's good.
So has there ever been any, challenge, let me say? Because looking at the movie industry itself, if you ask some people, they'll tell you that, when I wanted to go into the movies, my parents, I wasn't financially capable of, doing things, producing movies, doing this and doing that. So for you, did you ever, come across any challenge at all?
Well, the challenge I would say is the one I've stated of I'm a very focused person. I do not like unserious people. I'm sure you can testify to that. So I when I'm working, I don't want people thinking it's a joke. So that's how my life is. So that's, I would say, was the first is an initial challenge I've encountered. As you grow in any industry, you find your tribe. And my tribe know that when we're working, nobody's playing. So I'm good with that. So, but challenges in terms of having maybe family or people object to it. No, in the sense that I always say to people that everybody's journey is different. I'm coming from a different place. I'm coming from a place where, as you well know, some of the biggest challenges we have is financial instability when you're clawing to find your feet. I'm a bit lucky because I'm coming from a place where I have passed the level where you don't give me work, I don't eat. So I can look at the script. In fact, when we were starting out, so to say, the first script I got, I was so pissed off by it. I wanted to rail at the director. So a producer friend of mine said, no, calm down. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Just tell him you're busy, you're not going to do it. So I'm coming from a place up till now where I can look at the script and say, you know what, this doesn't work for me. But it does not mean that I do not respect those who sometimes will say, I need the money, let me do something I don't want to do. So that's there as well. So I have that. In terms of family objecting, I come from a family where everyone is independent, very educated, and I am not known for being unserious. I'm known. I think the biggest problem my family would have is that I'm stubborn to obstinacy. So she says she's gonna do that.
She'll do it.
Just you know what? Yeah, just so no, in the sense that the Nollywood we have today, the people that we have in this industry today, they blow my mind.
Wow.
We're coming from, like I said to you, we're coming from a place where you have a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to do this, and they take money, and then it becomes, but today you find people who don't even have that much money, and they're doing so much. So I will doff my hat for people in Nollywood today. The evolution is amazing.
Very.
And I have a lot of respect for the people.
Wow. I feel very excited to be in that generation.
Yes. I have worked on a set where you were, what again?
Production assistant.
Production assistant. And I know how hard you worked. I know how the production took care of me as an actor and how my needs were met. And so the evolution, like I said, it's been amazing.
Very. Okay, so now let's talk about you as a producer. All right. The question is, I think on the show last week, 2 weeks ago, I can't even place it, but we had a director that we asked, how do filmmakers, how do they get their money? I mean, you put in a lot of effort. You put in, being the executive producer, not just the producer right now. Yeah. You do this, you do that one, and at the end of the day, the movie might probably not be sold out. Okay, and then the question is, how do you make your money? I mean, is movie making a profitable business, or it's a business of hard luck, that kind of thing?
I think that if you were not in the industry, you would approach it, I wouldn't say wrongly, but maybe differently. Those of us in the industry, we know that first it's an art before it's a science. And if you're an artist, you know that there are no artists who were good who made as much money as they did when they started out. Film is it's an asset in the sense that I was talking with a friend of mine who's a foreigner, and he said to me, the problem is that why I write most of my stories is that when I write them, this is a creative process for me. So I know my characters, I know where they're going, I had a movie, one of my movies was returned by a network, and my friend who went to pick it up was upset. And I said, I don't have a problem with that movie, I wrote it. I have that much confidence in what I had done. And I knew where they had a problem, and they were right as well. I needed to do more work because the other people probably didn't do, but I knew the foundation of what I had done. So if you invest in movies, sometimes your profit is not buying and selling. It doesn't come right away. But you have an artwork that's going to endure, even go beyond you, as it's going to be a legacy if you do a good job. So sometimes we don't make profit when we made it. I have a movie that's exactly 1 year old today made, and it's still in post-production.
Wow.
So if I want to buy groundnuts and 5 naira, sell 7 naira and get the money tomorrow morning, then movie making is probably not for you, because the creative process is meticulous, is lengthy. It's a lot of it involves a lot of brilliant people that will manage to get the outcome. So it's not buy today, sell tomorrow. So for those of us in the industry, the investment is not. We know that our money is not lost.
Okay.
We know that our money is there.
You don't sometimes wake up at night or midnight and then you start crying like, yo, 50 million, like.
No, but what? Because that's why everywhere in the world, artists often have backup income. I'm a writer. I can sit down and decide to do a script for someone. If I'm hungry, I can, I told you I'm coming from after Ajana. I'm on somebody else's job. I act, they pay me. Then I have jobs of my own that are in different stages of production. So if you are not lazy, because there's I drove about 2 hours to get here this morning. So if the traffic was a mess, but I had an appointment and I had to keep it out, I finished filming at 1:30 a.m. last night. The day before I finished at 12 a.m. So there is no, we do not have the privilege of excuses. And we know that, our work is an investment. So if somebody who is not in the industry gives you money and says, I want my money in 3 months, it may not work out, not because the network might take longer to approve it. There might be problems from production you need to correct in post. It's art. You need to be meticulous and careful. So for us, when it's our money, we're patient with ourselves. Not to say that they're not people you give money, like I said earlier, to make a movie and they go buy new cars. We can't account for this.
Well, that actually happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, I told you guys that if you're somebody who thinks deep, you would get inspired, you would learn something, because, I mean, we're actually hearing from someone who has been in the game like a grandma, not like a mommy right now, okay? A grandma to the upcoming, great grandma to the upcoming generations, all right? Okay, so of course we're still on the Spotlight Show on Panache FM, and my guest is the one and only Ijeoma Richards. She's still here with me, but we hit the playlist right now. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us. Movie industry, and then now movie industry. So I want to ask you, what are the changes, from 1960s, 2000, and now 2021?
Well, in the 60s, I think most of the movies that were made, prop movies that were made for Nigeria, were made by foreigners. There was some that had Taiwo Ajayi, the legend, and Patty Bulai. They were mostly made
I don't even know those movies.
particularly was the Joy Girl. The Joy Girl when your mom probably was of
Yeah.
the church and stuff like that. So they were the first that were in movies in those times, and then we moved into the 70s when we had, movie making is a Western Nigerian probably great pastime. They were the ones that were the forerunners
Of the movie industry. So we hijacked it from them or what?
No. If you start something, it doesn't mean that other people can join in. We didn't hijack it. Nobody hijacked it.
Okay.
Everybody came on board because it's a good thing, and they couldn't. They kind of they call them what the Yoruba people alakada or laugh. That kind of cinemas they had. They were not enough to meet the demand, of course. And of course, I'm sure that those people. Ugunde and all those people, that their plan and their hope was to grow. And growth, you can start growth, but you can't decide how much growth what you plant would how far it would go. So for us, they are the foundation on which we built where we're coming from. Then in the 80s, we got to 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Where we still had all the movies, most of the plays and movies, like I said, were mostly from Western Nigeria. And then it was revolutionized by, we had the living in bondage that went, because they went straight to video. They went straight to video, so it was easy for it to spread and for people to know about it. And then it had color, and then it had semblance of we're new, and everybody came on board. But before that, there were many phobias we had that we pay respect to. And then living in bondage gave birth to the era of renting of it was VHS, renting of DVDs and CDs from video clubs. And then we moved on to the home video, the one that is still there now.
Yes.
And then we're gradually moving on to the cinema. But one thing is that all of these different kinds of film distribution types, they're still there. They didn't go away because not every movie goes to cinema.
Yes.
To go to cinema, the amount of money it takes to go to cinema to fund all those things, not every producer, especially independent producers, can afford it. So that's there as well. It's growing. We do need more cinemas in the country, and I see a lot of investors doing things to make that happen, and we're very happy. So we're growing. It's growth. In every industry you have growth. So we were at that place where it's video, it's DVD, it's CDs and it's DVDs, and where piracy was at its peak, where you make a movie and in traffic you see all of your movies in traffic, and you haven't even made a dime. But the kind of different platforms for distribution we have, networks, buying films. The greatest revolution for movies today is the internet. Because everybody can make money from their own production by themselves if they work towards it. So you film. There are a lot of producers today I can name who do not give their production to any other outlet. It goes on the YouTube channels, and they're making money. So there's that as well. So I would say the greatest invention, and we haven't even scratched the surface of where we can go with the internet in terms of movie distribution. It's a great challenge in the industry, but we believe that the internet is going to do a whole lot for us in that regard. So we're looking at it and working towards it.
So let's say in 10 years to come, where do you see the movie industry? I mean, would it be that 2021 will be like 2090.
Yeah, of course, it's gonna be olden days. I mean, I know the work we put into. There are delays in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
There are losses. There are the most revolutionary thing for industry people is that all of us, myself inclusive, we are in school. We're learning. We're learning everything: cinematography, editing. We're learning it. So when you're on your set, you're not talking to your cinematographer like a stranger. You're telling him, "I don't want you shooting at this level. I don't want you shooting with this. I don't want you doing this. This is the look I want." And you're not telling him from a novice's point of view. You're telling him from somebody who knows. So lots of us have gone back to school so that we're as technical as anybody else. So the movie industry is going to get better. Our productions are going to get better. The producers, everybody's going to be more technically sound. So in 10 years' time, we're going to look back, and we're not going to, of course, look down on our small beginnings, but we're going to say, you know what, we come along and we're proud of where we are.
Yes, so. I mean, that's certain. I really look forward to that.
Yeah.
By that time, you'll be like a great-great-grandma.
No, I'm going to be like a great, like 6th generation grandma.
But that's the kind of grandma I like, actually. So, all right. So, let's talk about the projects you've done before. We actually have a handful of them. All right, but just. Those you've done before that you can you have one or two things to say about.
I have produced 4 films. Well, executive produced and produced 3. I have executive produced 1.
Okay, wow.
I had someone else produce it, but the other 3 are executive produced and produced. Wow. And then I wrote them as well.
Wow.
So they're closer to my heart because when I find that when I contract out scripts, often they come back and I'm very unimpressed by them. Because of my schedule, I find it hard to do the right. So you find that you end up saying, you know what, I'm going to sit down and do this.
Just do it myself.
You pay once, you pay twice. He comes back and he's like, well, I don't get this at all. So I find that the ones I've written are really close to my heart because, like I said, these characters, you know them. You started with them. Yes. You get them too. And so Grandma's Neighbors, is also in post-production now. That was
Grandma's Neighbor.
That's one that's a year old.
Wow.
Comfort My Love. Comfort My Love came from a place of, we do a lot of comedy.
Yes.
But I also felt like, yes, this is comedy, but it's maybe it's a different kind of comedy.
Well, is it out? It's not out yet.
No, it's going to start airing maybe end of the year or early.
I can't wait.
So, and then sometimes as a producer, you say to yourself, I often get roles that are very, people think I need to be all dressed up and dolled up and sometimes I want to be like, I'm a Nigerian woman, I can be village too.
Right. Well, can you actually give us that village vibe? Because, But
calm down. Calm down. Well, so Comfort My Love was that. I played a village woman who her husband abandoned, and she went to find him in the city. So
wow,
it was something like that. That's not the kind of role a lot of people look at me and give me. So I wanted to have that happen. But yeah, a few people have done, especially when I've done Igbo films. A few people have given me, and they've been very impressed. I remember one of the stories I like to tell was, there was an Igbo film. It was kind of a posh Igbo film, and they needed a village auntie,
Okay.
an auntie from the village to come and play this. She came with a son who is totally an absolute nuisance. So she came with him from the village, and it was so bad. He pulled out the shower head because the hot water was coming, and he burnt him, and he pulled it. So that's kind of son.
Wow.
So I turn up on set, And the director sees me, I could tell he was pissed. As I came in, he was like, I asked for a village woman. So he was angry.
Yeah.
So I just went past him and I went in, and first I got dressed. I came with my mother had this Christian mother wrapper.
Okay.
So I dressed up and I tied the scarf. So when I came out, he calmed down a bit.
Okay.
And then we started filming and he laughed. And I've since done 2 jobs for him.
Whoa.
Because, I come in looking like myself. I said, well, did he expect me to come in looking like a village woman? So you get that idea of people seeing you and thinking, okay, this one needs to, she needs to just sit in an office and speak a lot of, and as actors, we don't like that. We want you to, even if we can't, we want you to challenge us.
Yes.
Give me the script and let me go and work on myself. So things are changing. People are, the roles are getting different and diverse, and I totally love that.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, I like that village because personally, I like to see that.
Yeah,
it's like a village woman.
I'm very good at being village. I'm the best village woman you can.
Okay, so wow. Now let's talk about you being the president of Nollywood Creative Minds Forum. I mean, how did you bet it?
Well, the industry, I think even journalists like yourself have that challenge. One of the challenges we saw in the industry as a group of friends who were at the same level was, if you're in Nollywood, for instance, and there's something going on with you, you don't have industry backing. I can't turn up there and say, oh, this person is Nollywood because of the people they know. It's going to be maybe 1 or 2 friends turn up for you. And then there's the cohesion and the fact that there's a synergy you get from collaborating that was not there. So after we set up Nollywood Creative Minds for me, Buki Thomas and Emeka Okoye, and everybody opted that I become president. I sat down and drew up a plan for us. I looked at these things and said, you know what, we can do better. And we drew up a plan where we support our people. Before this idea of if you're ill and in Nollywood, you have to become a public charity case. You've been amongst us. You know how we do it. We come together and say, this person's got this challenge. We need to do it, and we need to get this person out of it. And we've been doing it. We're 5 years strong now.
Whoa!
And we have
5 years.
Yes, and you're an offshoot of NCMF Kwara.
Yes.
And then we have NCMF South East. And so we come together, we support each other. If somebody is bereaved, if somebody's getting married, we turn up. Then when you see us, you because the faces are recognizable, you say, this is Nollywood people.
Yeah.
But usually people are doing things in Nollywood and it's just that person and maybe two or 3 close. And we thought that wasn't right. And then we also use, because we're not just, we're industry practitioners in NCM, so it's not just actors. Actors, it's directors, it's producers, it's writers, it's makeup people. So we collaborate on projects.
Wow.
And then what we do is, if you have a project and you're one of us and you're filming, of course I won't come in and say to you, Rhoda, this is my fee. I'm going to just turn up and say, okay, Rhoda, this is, you tell me, oh, I want you on my project, we support you. Because when is the turn up for other people? Because we believe we can grow. We need this collaboration for us to grow. So we have that happening. And since should have been the 6th year. Well, this is the 5th year where we're having our annual In Pursuit of Bets seminar and film screening.
Whoa.
The idea of that is we believe that corporate Nigeria and entertainment Nigeria can rub off each other. They can support, they can form a mutually supportive relationship. So every year we bring corporate leaders and industry leaders from Nollywood, and we have this seminar where there's collaboration, there's networking, and the short film screening that films are produced by NCMF, and supposedly you guys gave us a lot of flack because Kwara won the first short film competition, and you guys have never let Lagos forget that. So the same thing's going to happen December this year. So.
Wow.
We're hoping for that collaboration, and what we want is for corporate Nollywood, corporate Nigeria, and Nollywood to come together in this complaint about you're not doing enough in Nollywood. We are an investment that pay off. And we're trying to show people that. We want people to know, because a lot of people don't know that we're an investment, the payoff. So if corporate Nigeria invests in Nollywood, I mean, the sky is going to be our starting point.
Wow, I am excited already, like very excited. Okay, personally, I want to know what inspires you, because, listening to you, it's obvious that you're like you said, you're a serious person, but then
well, a lot of times, sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what inspires this woman? What is your source of inspiration?
Well, looking at our environment, even a blind person can see that we need better, we deserve better, and we can do better. And like the title of our annual event is In Pursuit of Better. I mean, everybody can improve. Everybody can be better than they are. There's nobody who is at that place where we would say, oh, they're perfect now. So for me, it's that pursuing. I look at myself and say, I've got so much potential. I've got so much invested in me. I've got so much given to me. In all ways, that if I don't produce enough to justify it, I would die guilty, and I don't want to die guilty. I want to die knowing that I've given as much as I can, as much as is humanly possible, that I got out as much out of the investments that the life has made in me, and I got it out there and people can share an experience and I can leave it behind. And it's the fear that I'm going to die not having done these things that pushes me, because, I mean, I don't know anybody who would want to just live by eating and sleeping and not adding value. Our environment needs improvement, and we can individually determine that it can be done, and that's what drives me, because I know it can be done and it should be done.
Not like I said, it's inspiring to hear or to listen to what inspires you, because already I picked something, all right? And I think that for me, the take home is that I don't want to die guilty. So if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, if I don't do
if you don't fulfill your potential, because the potential you have, your parent, you're an improvement on your parents. You're probably better educated. You've got more privileges. You grew up eating better food.
Certainly.
You probably have traveled more as a result of the benevolence. So if your parents achieve more than you, it's a disgrace, isn't it?
If your parents achieve more than you, it's a disgrace. So I mean, if you think that you're sitting somewhere and you're waiting for your dad to will all his properties to you, and then you be that child who is sitting on his parents hard earnings, then it's a disgrace. I mean, that's a takeover as well. Okay, wow, it has really been amazing. I just checked my time right now and I'm like, yo, my time is fast spent. But then before we go, do you have something you want to tell people, especially those in the movie industry, actors, producers, writers, directors, down to location, let me say production assistants, I mean everyone, all right, down to the lowest person on set, although everyone is actually
nobody's
yes.
low on the production on the production chain. If you don't have a production assistant, your production will be messed up. Everybody on the production chain is as important as the other. In fact, I can almost say the actor is they'll kill me. Probably. The actor is probably the least important person, because without all these people, you can't even be on TV.
Can't do anything, yes.
So it takes all these people, and if you're not there as an actor, they probably use puppets. But without them, there's no TV. So there's no least important person. What I would say to all of us is that the era where you come and just give mediocre is over. That when you're on a set, some of the jobs I've gotten a lot have come from crew who have said, you need this person. I had a producer come from abroad, and he was looking for a character. They said he searched for that character for months. They've come like 3 times, they've come back, and they haven't seen. And some people have that particular, and they haven't seen the person that fits what they're looking for. They've done auditions. So somebody gave them my number, and I spoke with them. And it wasn't until they spoke with me that that project happened. Some people are that particular. So when you are working, I especially have a personal beef with people who will say, oh, I wasn't paid enough, or I wasn't paid. See, if you're not paid and you don't want to work without being paid, don't take the job.
Don't take it.
People call me sometimes and say, oh, my budget is low. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't do it, give it to someone else. Because if I say yes to you, you can bet your bottom dollar that I will do. No, it's a bottom cover, isn't it? You can bet your bottom naira that I will give everything to make that job succeed. So when I see people drag their feet and work with bad attitude and people, that is people's money, that's people's sweat. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you agree to do it, whatever it takes. Like I said, I was on set this past 2 days until my agreement with that set was that I'll leave by 8 or 9. But we're production people. Am I going to leave somebody's film half short? And the EP was a really nice person. He was calm. So I was like, you know what, whatever. So we last night I was with Tinamba until that late. And we do these things, and people still see us and say, why would she say she doesn't have time? We truly don't have time. We honestly sometimes don't have time for ourselves. So when we have time, we're really grateful for it. So that's my advice. If you agree to do a job, the reason is that if you are replaced, it's hard to find yourself back where you want to be. And there are 1,000 people wanting to take your place. So do give your best and be dedicated, and leave the bad attitude at the door. Nobody wants a bad attitude on the set.
Nobody does. Well, I think you've all gotten a takeover already, because me, I have so much of it with me already. Thank you so much. It has been amazing. It has been inspiring. I mean, I was particular about, hey, you just have to come on the show now, because I'm certain we'll have so much to learn from you, and I'm grateful and glad that you honored our request and came to the studio, on the show. So before we go, where can we follow you on social media?
Instagram, Ijeoma Richards 1.
Okay.
Facebook, Ijeoma Richards. Twitter, Richards Ijeoma.
And that's it. Yeah. We have to bring you some other time. We hope that when we call you, you'll come.
We'll work like we did this one. We'll work it out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Really Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming, Ma. All right. So this is where we call it a wrap on the show this morning. And of course, as you know, my guest is the one and only. I call her a legend, not just me, but everyone knows she's a legend. Because, man, she has been there and she's still here. All right. She's a writer, she's an actor, she's a producer, and of course she is the president of Nollywood Creative Minds Forum, and it's a great privilege having her on the show today. So of course tomorrow 11 to 12 noon for another edition of the Spotlight Show. It's gonna be amazing, so make sure you don't miss it. My name is Brother Naju or Josh Shenemi, aka Talking Machine. All right, and I call it a wrap today, and I'm saying bye for now. Keep listening to Panache FM. Love.